You prefer double scoops? Single scoops. We're going healthy this year. Trade rumors surrounding Butler and the Heat do not solely control this year's deadlines. This will be interesting to see how this deadline plays out. I really am interested. Teams seeking to move below tax apron lines. Yeah, there's going to be a few of these. Indiana Pacers, Brooklyn Nets, and Atlanta Hawks, 3 teams within $1.2 million of the luxury tax this season. All of these teams want to remain below the mark. Yeah. In regards to the Hawks, there were early trade discussions this season surrounding DeAndre Hunter possibly being moved. There haven't been any indications that this is the case anymore. Yeah, DeAndre Hunter's been good this year. So they're 1.2 million above it or below it? How are the Nets paying that much money on their roster? I mean, they got Ben Simmons, obviously. Claxton, Cam Johnson. What do you think of Omac's play recently? He's been great. New Orleans Pelicans are looking to get off some money. They're trying to get off of $2.1 million. So, yeah, Daniel Tice, Javonte Green, traded into nothing, preferably for them. Which is why there's been some Javonte Green Mavericks talk. But I don't think they want to take back salary is the problem. Mavericks and Clippers find themselves as teams dealing with intriguing situations. Los Angeles about $2.5 million above the tax with an owner in Steve Ballmer who does not care what the price it takes for his team to win. Nav's got that money too, though, baby. That dirty money. Everyone around the league knows that the Clippers want to move PJ Tucker and Bones Highland to upgrade their front court. Shout out to Siegel. Is there any real stuff here that we haven't seen already a million times? This trade deadline just feels like we're regurgitating story after story after story after story. Over and over and over. Savi, if we are still sitting here at the deadline in 2026 and OKC hasn't made the major move, would you be upset as a Thunder fan? Well, it depends on what they do this year. If they win the finals this year, fuck no. Who cares? If they flame out in the playoffs, yeah, I'm going to start wanting something. What up, Retna? Yeah, nothing's really happening. I'm not sure people are necessarily waiting on a Jimmy trade either. I mean, this Jimmy situation is so gross. Warriors fans, by the way, from what I can surmise on Twitter, are pissed off. They're very upset. That is true. They made big moves in the offseason, getting Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. Clippers, does Jones play? Yeah, Derek Jones Jr. plays and is very good. Slightly. All right, shout out to my guy Siegel. I'm not sure. Lakers interested in Nikola Vucevic trade. Late Thursday evening, league sources inform Clutch Points that the Lakers are still highly interested in Bulls center Nikola Vucevic. In fact, it would not be crazy to call Vucevic one of Los Angeles' top trade targets ahead of the trade deadline. AD said that he wanted a center, a big. That would be pretty interesting. Shout out to New Jersey. That would be pretty interesting. A floor spacing threat. The question is, do the Bulls say, he's under contract next year. Maybe we can hold out and get some more stuff in the summer this year, or maybe at the deadline next year? Or could they say, let's sell high. The Lakers are offering a first rounder. Let's just do it. Why doesn't AD embrace the 5 spot? He never has. I wonder what Vucevic is. At this time, nobody's been willing to offer up a first-round pick for the veteran center who's having a career year. I'm wondering if that gets to a first-rounder. Valanciunas kind of feels like a Laker, doesn't he? It just kind of fits. Kyle Kuzma was another Wizards player that the Lakers explored options of pursuing. Interesting. Robert Williams does make some sense. Should the Lakers move Vanderbilt in a trade package to the Bulls for Vucevic? He's a player that Chicago would attempt to send elsewhere. Okay, I was just about to say that could be something the Dallas Mavericks get on. A team like the Dallas Mavericks, who have been searching for athleticism and length on the wing, could consider being involved in this type of scenario. Yeah, however, his injury concerns and longer contract would be problematic for Dallas. I do agree. What's his number? Now, it could work in the sense that I think he's about 10 million, right? He's at 10 million, but his contract, including this year's 4 years with a player option on that last year. 10 million, 11 million, 12 million, 13 million. So the idea could be a team says, oh, we'd rather have Maxi's contract, which expires 2 years earlier, than this 4-year Vanderbilt deal. But then the problem becomes this guy cannot stay on the fucking court. I mean, you talk about being injury prone. This guy hasn't played a game this season, played 29 games last year. Has really had a hard time staying on the court recently. And then, of course, you run the risk of you run the risk of him just never being the same and not really being healthy. And now you have that for 4 years contract-wise. That's tough. Would Vando be much worse than Maxey on offense? No. Vando's going to give you very similar problems offensively, though. Doesn't shoot. Teams don't respect him from three. I'd rather have Maxey expiring after next year. Yeah, I don't know how excited I would be about getting Vanderbilt, if I'm being completely and totally honest. Keep an eye on Jalen Smith as a buy low target. That was something that got, aggregated right there. We've seen it. Jalen Smith. I don't know how much that would excite me much, to be honest with you. I don't know if Jalen Smith does much for me. $8 million this year. That's a weird contract to trade for. How do you get to that number? I'm looking youthful today. It's the lighting. Thank you. The Mavs are $5.2 million over the luxury tax line. Who gives a fuck? If they're not paying, fuck them. So it would be Maxey. And you know what? I kind of feel like with Jared Vanderbilt, you could maybe do a Maxey for Vanderbilt deal straight up with the team. I'm just not sure. I think Stein said it seems likely to stand pat. I'm not sure that that's a move I'm all that interested in. Would Rob Williams get you excited? Any trade would get me excited. I mean, I'm a sucker for that type of shit, but I mean, Jalen Smith opens up a Gafford for a perimeter defender this offseason. Yeah, I don't think they'd trade Maxey for Vanderbilt either, to be completely and totally honest with you. I know that sounds crazy to say. I don't want to overrate Maxey or anything like that, but I think his expiring deal in the summer becomes very valuable. And Vanderbilt hasn't played this season. And they do. They love Maxey. They love him. To get Smith, Mavs would have to trade Powell, Exum, and a minimum contract. Okay. Where's Vucevic? Is in expiring, is on the trade block. He's got a year left after this year. Kessler getting traded would make no sense to me. Nuggets sneaky play for buyout market. Who's an option in the buyout market? Do they have names? It is known around the league that Denver wishes to move out of the first apron, which they are about $5.6 million over. The main reason for doing so is because the Nuggets see a path to possibly reuniting with Bruce Brown. They're saying they might buy out Bruce Brown. That would be a little bit surprising. That would be interesting if Bruce Brown gets bought out and goes back to Denver. For the Nuggets to move below the first apron, they would need to move either Zeke Naji or a package of Dario Saric and a minimum contract player like Conchar. No team has shown interest in taking on Naji's contract. No, one of the worst contracts in the league. Which is weird because it's only like $8 million, but it's that bad. He's a nothing player. Somebody's going to overpay for Bruce. You think that, but it's just so weird that the contract situation across the league. Like Bruce Brown's at $20 million. It's hard, it's really hard for teams to match that. With all of the new trade rules and trade restrictions. I can see Phoenix trading Bruce Brown for Nurkic and the shit pick. That's pretty interesting. Mavericks take Conchar to placate Luka. Yeah, maybe. I don't want that. I'm not that interested in that. Other trade notes in detail and intel. Charlotte Hornets, several teams around the league have been in contact with the Charlotte Hornets regarding newly acquired wing Josh Okogie. 2 years, $16 million for him. That could be interesting. $8 million a year. If you're the Hornets and teams offer second round picks for him, you do that easily. Caleb Martin, same thing. Second round picks. Let's do it. Miles Bridges, kind of interesting. Any scenario in which Herb Jones could be a Mav? I mean, yeah, there's scenarios. So the Cam Johnson Cleveland Cavaliers talk felt like it has heated up. What would that look like? I mean, in my brain, I just couldn't see a scenario where they muster up the package to make that happen, but I would love that for them, man. That would be incredible. Okoro, yeah, Okoro, but is that Okoro in their 2031 first? Isn't that what they can trade? Is that enough for the Nets? There are still a handful of people around the league who believe that the Detroit Pistons will pull off an unexpected move to add another interesting talent to their roster. Okay, I like that. Yeah. Now, I've heard this, and I'm just giving you guys a spoiler. I think I'm going to put it in my trade deadline predictions just because I think it'd be fun. I don't necessarily believe it's going to happen, but I've seen people on Twitter sort of theorize it. CJ McCollum would be really interesting on the Pistons. Really interesting. Really, really interesting. Celtics trade KP for Cam Johnson to fit better with the Jays. Oklahoma City Thunder, there are since around the league that Chet Holmgren could return from his hip injury shortly after the All-Star break. The Oklahoma City Thunder are in no rush to bring Holmgren back from his right iliac wing fracture. Yet he has been doing some light individual work, just some light work. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do anything. One of my big predictions was that the Thunder were going to make a big move at the deadline and win the finals this year. It doesn't sound like they're going to do anything. Thoughts on Nicola Melli to the Mavs? That was our missing piece. John Collins and Colin Sexton continue to generate trade interest around the league. Sources said the Utah Jazz have discussed scenarios with multiple teams, and they continue to receive calls about Walker Kessler. I just don't... Kessler stuff doesn't make sense to me. I wonder how real it actually is. What is up with the injury to Derek Lively this second as well? Spencer Dinwiddie's positive performance likely lessens the chances of Clarkson being traded to the Mavs. Where did that come from? Is that a real thing? Where did that originate from? That trade would make no fucking sense at all. I'm sorry. I would be really upset. Really upset if the Mavs traded for Jordan Clarkson. Really upset. Would make no sense at all. Now we should still explore Clarkson trade, but no for D-Live. No, that's not what they're saying. They're not saying it would be D-Live for Jordan Clarkson. They're saying Derek Lively getting injured changes what the Mavs would do at the deadline, and now they're not interested in Jordan Clarkson. There's no way, man. I would maybe believe this if Spencer Dinwiddie was getting like DNPs even in their current state, and it's like, oh, they hate Spence. Like they need another guard, but they clearly love Spencer Dinwiddie. I do not want Jordan Clarkson. It would make no sense whatsoever. Chet is never going to be the same player as he was prior to his injury. That seems extreme.